Hi, it's Rich Hoffman here. Sometimes, when you have a lot of things going on in your life that other people would like to be a part of, like the birth of new kids and weddings, milestone celebrations, and a lot of people get together, and like Memorial Day weekend in 2025. And a lot of people who have a lot of different thoughts about life that fall under the umbrella of family or friends, they get together because customs say you do, and you get days off of work that you don't normally have, and people traditionally get together to talk and associate. And that brings up sometimes difficult discussions that aren't always easy to deal with. So to answer a lot of questions all at the same time, I'm at a place in my life where I made certain decisions about the way I want to live it. And it's my life to live. And the people who share that with me either like it or they don't. And my deal is I insist on authentic, honest, good behavior from people who genuinely want to do right in the world. And for me, right means living a good, righteous life of individual authenticity. That doesn't mean that I consider if you go out and do the purple hair thing or become, some kind of radical, perverse, sexual deviant, or you smoke dope, like to get intoxicated a lot, cover yourself in tattoos, you make bad decisions. Love is not unconditional. And when people say, well, it's family and family comes before anything, no, because that endorses bad behavior. And if you sign up to endorse bad behavior, that's bad management. It's like saying in your government you can do anything you want wrong, we'll just raise taxes and pay for it. When you endorse, especially as a leader in a family, and this is part of the problem, I don't look back and have a whole lot of anger towards people who came before me, who lived their lives however they decide to live them. But the results of that leadership goes somewhere that I don't approve of. And I have every human being does, they have the right and obligation to pick how they want to live their life. And if the leadership has endorsed bad behavior and bad behavior results, and then I decide whether or not I want to be a part of that or not, don't be mad when my value system supersedes the bad management. And that might lead to hurt feelings, but you shouldn't have lived a bad life. You shouldn't have made the bad decisions you made. Are those forgivable? I'm a pretty forgiving person. But if you continue to do the bad things or glaze over the bad behavior, I'm not going to be very interested in supporting it. In fact, I won't. I don't do that in any part of my life, and I never have, and I'm never going to. And to answer the question that was brought up, well, that means that you could be alone in life and go to your grave with nobody showing up at the funeral. I really don't care. I could care less because if that's the way the world is, I don't want anybody to, I don't care. I wouldn't care if nobody showed up at my funeral. So that brings up an interesting problem about how we manage ourselves. And there's this premise that we are to imbue ourselves into the social currents of mass society. And that mass society has an intelligence all its own. And I would argue that's preposterous. As a human being and as the governor of families, family is the most important governing body the world has ever known. It's the pinnacle aspect of the human race. And if you don't get it right within you and your family, you can't expect the rest of the world to be okay too. What you need is a whole bunch of well-managed families managing society. You can't have a bunch of derelicts who are addicted to porn and all kinds of social bad behavior. They drink too much and make a lot of bad decisions, had made bad decisions all their lives, only to find out that it led to a bad existence, and that they want to crawl back to the last refuge that they have, which is this belief, this social belief that you can do anything, and if it's family, then you forgive them. And no, that's not how it is. If you do bad behavior, there's consequences for the actions, and as a governing body within a family, you have an obligation as a leader to decide that there's consequences to bad behavior. You might forgive them, but do you trust them? Or do you open your arms to them? Or do you go out of your way to spend time and make them feel good about themselves when they probably don't deserve to? So for me, I'm against drinking. I'm against tattoos. I'm against certainly pot. You want to tick me off? Talk about pot. Talk about legalizing pot as a medicinal variant or as a recreational variant. Just mention the name and conversations end with me really fast. Justify porn addictions. Anything is socially bad. If you're involved in it, I might open the door for you. I might treat you like a nice human being, but I'm not going to like you. And I'm not obligated to like people who are doing bad things. So I have, and this is the other thing that's been said, you have too high of standards. It's impossible to live up to them. And that's a controlling personality. And that comes out of frustration because people, you can't put it back in the bottle once you've slung it out and made a fool of yourself for a period of time, whether it's some little period in your 20s or something that goes on in your 30s and 40s, or whether you've been doing it in the background all your life. I've made a lot of decisions to turn away from very lucrative opportunities that paid a lot of money. I'm not impressed with a lot of money. A lot of people can have a lot of money if you just do this or you just do that. And I have been unwilling to do any of them, to go into the fold of some social chaos that's driven by primitive primal behavior. The intellect of self-governing behavior, saying this is good, this is bad. Yes, I'm going to judge, and I'm going to judge often. And I'm going to judge that you don't live up to my standards. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I dislike the person, but that means that I'm probably not going to drive out of my way to spend precious time that I don't have a lot of talking to people I really could care less about because they made bad decisions in life, because they drink too much, or because they've compromised themselves in one way or another to have financial security. They have low ethical standards, and when I'm not exactly going out of my way to make those people feel validated, of course they're going to be angry and mad. And in my life, there's lots of people like that, and the byproduct of that statement is it good to have so many enemies in the world? And I would say, if you have a lot of enemies, that means you have a high standard that you're forcing a lot of people to live up to. And if they want to have a relationship with you, they're going to live up to them because they value their relationship with you. And family management, which the goal of leadership is to make sure you have good, solid, well-run families. That's the first form of governance. And if you don't have standards, how can you expect the rest of society to have them? How can you expect those families to go out into the world and run communities and run school boards and run companies if they're not functioning from ethical standards? So it all starts with personal conduct, and that personal conduct within a family structure. But for people who don't want to live up to those standards, of course they're going to be upset when they run up against somebody who has a lot of standards and high ones, and ones they haven't compromised on. And I'm proud to say that that definitely has been me. And the accusation that it's a part of a controlling personality to beat people over the head with morality, I would say that's the goal of leadership, and that's how it's supposed to be. And that those who have not lived up to it, of course, might feel bad, but the card they had in their back pocket that, well, that's not how you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be forgiving and turn the other cheek. Well, I'm not a turn the other cheek kind of person. And I remember things for years, decades. Is that healthy? Is that good? I think it is. If someone's done you wrong 30 years ago or 40 years ago, should you still hold that over their head? Yes, because there are consequences to actions. You might forgive them in an aspect, but if they blow your trust, you don't have an obligation to bend the rules just to facilitate their hurt feelings. And if that means in the end that you're alone in life, I think that's what that's the decision. And if you don't have high standards for yourself, how can you have them for other people? And when they let you down, you have a right to be authentic to yourself and to let them know that they've let you down, and there's consequences for those actions, and maybe they can redeem themselves in some way. I doubt it, because behavior is behavior, and if they make a mistake once, they're likely to make it again, and especially if they think that there's no ramification for the bad behavior. But I certainly do judge, and I judge often, and I will always judge, because that's how you make value assessments in the quality of people. And saying all that, there's no fear in my life that I'm going to run out of people who would like to talk to me and want to deal with me. And I honestly could use a lot less of that. But you know, it's people do value people who have high standards, and there's a large percentage of the population out there that do enjoy having some structured framework to live within. But if they fall off and fall out of favor, they might have hurt feelings because of it. I might not wake up in the morning thinking about all the ways I'd like to destroy that person. I just simply stop caring about them. I don't really go out of my way for retribution when people do me wrong. I just drop them off the map, and forever. And that's just how I handle it, because you don't put a lot of personal investment into people who aren't worth it. And they're not worth it if they abuse themselves and abuse the lives of people around them and act in despicable ways. Even if they put on a social cascade of righteousness and purity, their lives and the merits of it can't help but manifest in the people around them. And if when you look around and you see a bunch of people who have a lot of problems with drugs and are covered in tattoos and body piercings and are genuine disasters and make bad decisions in life, the only person you can blame is the person that sees you in the mirror, because you've created a world that made a lot of bad people in it, and you didn't have high enough standards to force them to live up to. And probably shouldn't get mad at me because I force people around me to live up to my standards. And if my standards are too high and they fall off, I say so be it. It's my responsibility to have high standards and encourage those around me to have the same high standards. And if they fall short and I no longer speak to them for the rest of their lives, that's on them, not me. And that's just the way you have to be. And you shouldn't get mad because you didn't have those high standards in your own life, and you feel alone because of that process, because you believed that forgiveness was the key, when really it's encouraging people to have proper good behavior that you should have been focused on all along, because that's why there are so many disasters in your life, because you allowed it to happen. So don't get mad at anybody but yourself. And it's just a genuinely good lesson. Again, I'm sharing it because, you have all these interactions with different people, and they have different feelings about what those interactions should be like, and what you should be doing as a person. And I do a lot of talking about how people should do things or see things or live life. And that's my take on it. When there's characters that are unhappy that my high standards are viewed as an overly controlling personality, when the actuality of the definition is the standards make those people uncomfortable because they made so many bad decisions and thought that forgiveness would give them a way out of the ramifications of how that cascaded into people around them and destroyed lives in subtle ways that don't often get talked about socially. I'm very much a person interested in the substructure of psychology that makes a good person in a society properly run. And I say it starts within the family, and not a bunch of fake nonsense that you see at family gatherings, but true, sincere human engagement that is the root of all goodness that should be produced in society, starting with the family experience, driven by individuals who have high values and the people who appreciate the relationship with those people enough to cascade that into their own lives, because there are consequences for bad behavior, and everybody has to know that. And there has to be consequences when people don't live up to those standards. Otherwise, you get the kind of screwed up world we're looking at. And when it comes to my part of it, that won't happen, because I'm going to maintain high standards for myself and for the people around me. And if that makes people uncomfortable, then tough toodles. Get over it. Anyway, it's Rich Hoffman here. Share, subscribe, make tomorrow a better day. If you haven't read my book, The Gunfighter's Guide to Business, I think you'll love it. Anyway, have a good day. High standards. See you later.